Germany. King Charles speaking.
We recall a lesson that comes to us again and again across the decades. Free nations must stand together to oppose tyranny.
President Biden is expected to speak shortly. Ukrainian President Vladimir is at the...
All right, here we go. We're on the live stream now. You there?
I'm here.
You're there. Okay, so welcome to the video live stream for our WSJM morning show. I'm going to move your camera.
Okay.
Do like that.
We good there?
Yep, we're good there, and then I'm going to turn this light on. Boom. Okay.
I like it.
How's that look? Does that look all right? Okay. So this is the video live stream for the WSJM morning show. Thanks for joining us. We're behind the scenes right now. We're on the air as ABC National News, but we're catching up with Dave Doetsch. He's the president and general manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan. Right?
Correct.
I get that right?
And it's WSJM Inc.
Okay.
And under the umbrella of WSJM Inc. are Midwest Family Southwest Michigan and Midwest Family South Bend. So I'm president of both.
Okay.
And then here
That's
I'm
why
the
you're always
general
down in South
manager.
Bend.
And South Bend has its own general manager, Bill Gamble.
Okay. Okay, very good. How many entities is that?
Between the two, I believe, if I counted last, it's 12 different entities underneath the umbrella.
And probably a couple other things because there are other things that we do, but it has to do everything from radio to digital media. And I mean, we are
you want to buy ads on Spotify, we can take care of that. You want to put ads on Hulu, we can take care of that. Or you want to put ads on TikTok, we could, but we wouldn't advise it because TikTok actually covers half the state. So if you want to advertise there, you're going to be hitting north of Grand Rapids. If that's in your periphery, okay, but they don't really have a very focused in connection in this area.
Got it.
So
yeah,
but we can take care of all that stuff.
We'll talk.
Oh, go ahead.
We'll talk more about that coming up in just a moment.
All right.
All right. We're listening to the morning show. We'll be back in just a second.
In the rest of my life.
Experience the Navage difference yourself. Navage is available at Navage.com or at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And taking a look at some of the local news stories that are happening in Southwest Michigan from the WSJM Newsroom. A Benton Township woman is now on a mission to rid the Orchards Mall and the surrounding community of its gull problem. Christina Castaneda is a former manager of the mall who told Benton Township trustees at their public meeting this week that she has spoken to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the U.S. Department of Agriculture about the issue. She's learned that Benton Township is not the only community to have a problem with gulls, and some places have managed to rid themselves of the birds. Castaneda told us that she was the mall manager for many years, and they tried to drive the gulls away at Orchards Mall, but they were unsuccessful.
So I started playing falcon sounds from my car speakers, and the mall owners bought a 6-foot eagle kite, and I flew that around, paid somebody else to fly it around. We got a falcon that goes on a 60-foot pole, and we put that up on the roof.
What do you think? Would you do that?
Which part?
The falcon kite, the eagle kite.
Those are nice starts, but maybe it's time to call in an expert.
Have you noticed the gulls?
They've been back. I mean,
they're
went away,
incredibly back,
and now they're back.
Yeah, they are back.
It is a menace.
They had audible deterrent devices installed on the roof last year that seemed to work for a period of time. They were gone. It was weird. And then this year you've seen them back, and we've gone and taken more videos to see all the birds and that kind of thing. But all right, well, and also she has installed trash cans with metal lids and would bang on them frequently on the roof to get the gulls away. At one point, the mall had permission to remove nests from the roof, but the gulls came back and they just built new nests up there.
The first day, they completely left, disappeared. Second day, they left most of the day, came back early evening. And as the days went on, by the 9th day, they flew out to the parking lot and came back. So they became very desensitized to that. So we've tried everything over the years.
Due to the size of the mall's roof, the Orchards Mall, it's an ideal habitat, they say, for gulls to congregate because nothing disturbs them up there. Plus, there's ample food and water nearby. Castaneda says the real issue is that people feed the birds, adding that she would often catch people doing that in the parking lots when she was working at the mall. Now she's talking with a firm that has successfully driven gulls away from the likes of the mall and tells us the mall owners are interested in learning more about what they can do. Castaneda says she wants to be the catalyst for making that happen so the mall's gull problem can finally once and for all end and the community can benefit. Recall petitions against 2 Benton Harbor City Commissioners have been rejected by the Berrien County Election Commission. The commission this week rejecting the recall language submitted against Commissioners Dwayne Seats and Ron Singleton as unclear. The petition submitted by resident Sherry Zilgai said that the 2 commissioners should be removed from office for voting to establish a social district in downtown Benton Harbor. No word yet on whether the recall petitions have been refiled. And this year marks 60 years of operation for the Surrett Nature Center in Benton Harbor. Leaders there say they're planning a celebration to recognize and appreciate the community support that they've received. Director of the Surrett Nature Center, Nate Fuller, says the nonprofit will host a variety of events this summer and into the fall. The largest planned is the Family Festival on August 24th, which will feature a number of programs. And then in September, the center will host its annual fall dinner. Fuller says their mission is to continue engaging with young people.
One of the things that Surrett was founded to do was to engage children in nature. So that's one of the things we really want to have fun with at that family festival this fall, is to celebrate with the kids innate love of nature that we all thrive off of.
Fuller says keeping the vision alive for 60 years was only possible with the help of the community, and he feels it is a great accomplishment.
For us, it's that milestone period to reflect back on how far we've come and how we've accomplished quite a bit of still the vision people had 60 years ago.
The Surrett Nature Center is located at 2300 North Benton Center Road in Benton Harbor. That's a look at some of the local news stories that we're following for you today from the WSJM Newsroom. I'm Ken Lundberg, and you're listening to this WSJM Morning Show, and my special guest this morning is none other than the president and general manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan, Dave Doetsch, and we will continue our conversation with him coming up next. We'll have sports. We'll also have your latest weather forecast from WSBT. It's all coming up right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Major League Baseball from Wednesday night. Texas starter Jose Urena had a perfect game through 6 innings as
and those are the buttons.
There you go. You're getting the hang of it.
You're getting exclusive content right now on the WSJM Morning Show live stream, the video live stream. Let's see who we've got here. Because the great thing about the live stream, Dave, is people give us their good mornings, or if there are any technical issues, they tell us about them right away. So we've got Bill saying good morning. Hey, Bill. John's out there. Hello, and good morning. So
good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, and everyone else is listening. And then Bill, of course, will always greet the others who are coming into the room there. Thanks, Bill. We appreciate you. Bill, is that radio-controlled car competition coming up this weekend in Gobles? Is that this weekend? Let me know. If you wouldn't mind, maybe even just put the link in the comments. Dave Doetsch is here, and a lot of the conversations you and I have, Dave, are about things that not only happen here in the radio group, but also some of the trends in media and mass communications overall, the industry. We'll talk about AI and we'll talk about some of the social media in a few minutes, but are there things that keep you up at night when you think about mass communication, radio, et cetera?
Yeah, the element that has me pondering quite often is what happens without.
Mm-hmm.
In a world where we're used to new technologies replacing old technologies, now we're in an era of new software replaces old technology. New platforms do that. But what about the capacity to connect at a local level? For example, people will say, well, I can just get my news from TikTok, or I can just get my news from Facebook. Well, where's that coming from? Who's made that their professional responsibility?
Right.
Where is their ethics? Where is their code?
Sure. Where's
You
their
know,
responsibility?
Where's their responsibility?
Right.
Correct. And where are their checks and balances? And
Yep.
so some of the things that we have as checks and balances is the advertisers, and we got to be careful with that as well. But the outside business community, the outside community as a whole, there's a checks and balance. In our industry, we have a license with the government that somebody could make a complaint to. Doesn't mean we go off the air, but it can make a complaint to address. But who's going to complain to Meta? It goes into the abyss.
Yeah.
And so that dynamic where you could replace it with a platform, but what becomes the local committed entity that's there to serve?
Yeah.
And that can't be discounted, but it often is. And people think, well, I could just do that. Well, right. I could, some people have different affinities and you could just go do that, but you don't for whatever reason. You could be good at, construction, but it doesn't mean you're going into the construction business if you're in the banking world,
Right.
So there's always this default mechanism to that.
Yeah, and you kind of open the door on the social media, so let's go ahead and talk about it. But you talk about, okay, people can get their information, their engagement, their entertainment from a million different places right now, anywhere over the line, and that includes radio. So we're in the mix. Our local competitive advantage is bringing you local news that we've tested, that we've put through the journalistic ringer to make sure that we're going to tell you what's right and what's accurate to the best of our ability. And part of that also too is on the other side of it, the social media. A lot of them they don't have that. Here's an example. There's a the Lakeside Mall in Sterling Heights, right, east side of the state. Police there had to go onto Facebook and say the mall plant offer is a prank because somebody said, hey, a special deal from Lakeside Mall, come down and pick up one of our potted plants. Just go into the mall concourse, pick up a plant absolutely free today. We're changing out the plants. You can have the old ones. That's not true. It wasn't true, but people were coming to the mall, taking stuff and walking out.
Wow.
And so the police finally had to go to social media and post on their Facebook false information to combat that other social media message that the plants were up for grabs.
Yeah, that's it exactly. That's a great example of it, where you have to be conscientious to this. Content is king, distribution is King Kong, but where are the checks and balances? And without the checks and balances, then everything's open for just throwing out there. And there's good in that and there's not so good. You had mentioned it a second ago where you were talking to, I think it was Bill, and hey, put that link on there and we can do this. That shows the beauty of how this can all work. We could have done that years ago, and it's instantly and available to people. That's great. But the prank is the bad side of it.
Right.
If we did that prank, we could be held accountable for it. We could be fined for it. An average individual does it. They don't even have to represent themselves honestly on the platform.
And why would we be held responsible? Because we have that ability to do the mass communication.
Correct.
But everyone now has that.
Right. But that again shows that there's a power there.
Yeah.
And with power comes what? Responsibility. If the responsibility isn't there, it can be misconstrued. And that's absent in this model currently when it comes to social media.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West.
I'll give you a devil's advocate in just a moment, but then on the air right now, if you're interested in what's happening with Barry and Risa, fine interview with Johnny Reinhardt is playing right now, so you can take a listen to that. Always learning with Barry and Risa. It's a great opportunity to understand what's happening with Barry and Risa and all the great programs that they're working with our area school districts on. Devil's advocate on you can just throw it out there and it can be believed. Sometimes we get that through the mainstream media channels, and people have become disenfranchised with that, so they're looking for alternatives. When they look for alternatives, sometimes they go to that social media, and they don't know what they're getting isn't really true. And with the AI, I've noticed recently a proliferation of the photos and videos that aren't real.
And if that's the case, you can make a complaint to the federal government, to the FCC, and when they come back to get their license renewed, they can be put on notice, or they can be fined, or they could be required to take steps.
If they're licensed through the FCC.
If they're licensed through the FCC. So if you said it is quote unquote mainstream media, now if it's a print publication or a former print publication, then you got to be suspect. That's happened today where somebody has bought up the naming rights to Forbes, but they don't have any of the Forbes history behind them. All
Yeah.
they have is the rights to the name, and people remember that name as having some kind of credibility, and they're hiding behind that. And again, this is where instead of a Congress that can't do anything, why don't we actually deal with the true issues
Right.
that affect? And somebody could say, well, that, that should just be taken care of by the marketplace. Sorry, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the biggest fear is the fact that, they're finding out just recently with a serious amount of content or data gathered by Google was for children. And they specifically said they would not be using their technology to target children. And then the evidence is showing they're heavily doing it. Well, what's the consequences? Well, they're a little different. They've got to go to the FTC, but they can just keep going.
Yeah.
And it's concerning.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can happen just so quickly. So quickly. We're talking on the video live stream with Dave Doetsch. He's the president and general manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan. So social media, are you on any of the platforms? You mentioned earlier you're on X.
Twitter, yes. A little bit on Instagram, just for posting my artwork, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm not a big social media person.
Can we talk about your artwork?
Sure. What would you like to know?
What do you do? You went to school for art.
I started in art school, and just a quick story. I was also a scholarship football player, and this was the 1980s. So
What'd
it
you
was
play
silly.
in football?
I was a center.
Okay.
I snapped the ball to the quarterback.
Yep.
Okay. So one of the oddities was the art school hated that I was a football player.
Oh.
And then the football coaches, one of my art classes was at night, and I had to leave football practice early. So they were really kind of, oh, you got to go to your little pretty artsy art class.
They were saying that to you?
Oh, God. And they would say it to the whole team and make me have to run before I left and embarrassing me every time. And so
this is like an after school special.
Exactly. It was ridiculous. Right. So, but then I shifted gears, and I got pressure from my parents too, because they didn't, what they actually would say to me is, you're just going to draw dishwashers for Whirlpool.
Oh,
they did say that, like for the catalogs.
And what's wrong with that?
Right. So I switched gears and went into computer graphic design in the early eras of it, and that was a lot of fun. And then I accidentally did a voiceover thing, and that was history. So, but going back to the artwork, when I was younger, I did things that were much more realistic. And it's a pair of shoes, or it's a vase, or it's a person's face, or whatever. Yeah. And I did a lot of pencil drawing, and I did pointillism, where you're doing all the dots, the million dots.
Love that.
Love that stuff. But then I got away from my artwork for a long time. And recently, it was through COVID, I was like, I'll try it again. And I just did something different. And I tried abstract art and began with watercolor charcoal abstracts, and then added in acrylic painting abstracts on canvas. And now I just kind of jump back and forth. So that's my escapism, my cure to the stresses of life.
Can we talk about your method at all? Because the music aspect?
Yeah, either I get inspired by colors, or I get inspired by an artist or a specific song.
Yeah.
And then if I like a song, and that's usually what happens, or I get in the mindset of a song, then I look at what colors I think attribute to that song. And then I listen to that song and like songs by either the artist or in the genre, and do the painting. And while I'm doing the painting, I oftentimes paint to the beat of the song, shake the painting. If it's watercolor, it's got water, you can shake it and do some things. So I'm using the beat and the rhythm of the songs to make the paint do what the paint has to do.
That's cool.
So it's a lot of fun. It's physical. It's invigorating.
Are you listening? What are you listening to when you're doing that?
Oh gosh, it could be anywhere from, this is the truth, Barbra Streisand to Black Sabbath to Jason Isbell to Tom Jones to
Barbra
ABBA.
Streisand to Black Sabbath.
Yeah, and it won't be at the same time, but it's like my mom liked Barbra Streisand, and I'm thinking, and something triggers, and it's like I want to think about my mom, and I want to think about the music she used to listen to, because again, as I said earlier, for those who missed it, we used to play a lot of music in my house growing up, and so when it was my mom's turn to play, she was playing Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, the Bee Gees,
all the good stuff,
Neil Diamond, that whole genre, and that was I like that stuff because I have I heard it and had an affinity to it, and I tie it back to her.
Yeah. Talking about music and the way things are transforming with digital audio right now, artists when you were in college, the way they made money was they put out records and they went on concert tour.
Yeah.
And they made their money primarily, I think, that way through
Yes.
record contracts. Nowadays, it seems like the industry has changed quite a bit, and you don't get that same album feeling anymore from artists. And who knows if they're making money that way. It seems like they're getting most of their money, if they're able to, by touring and doing endorsements or whatever else.
Commercialization now, even too.
I mean,
back in the day, if a artist put a song tied to a commercial, that was looked down upon.
Taboo.
And today, now they launch songs through commercials. The music industry has changed dramatically, and that's affected our business in radio. You and I, growing up, radio was very much generational. That was my grandparents' music. That's my parents' music.
Right.
That's my older sister's music. That's, decades. It was the 70s. It was the 80s. It's the 90s. But you get past the millennium and you get into 2000s, and it all starts to get a bit blurry. And we no longer have those. Heck, you even hear radio stations today that say, best of the 80s, 90s, and today. It's like, what? The 80s, folks, that was a long time ago. If you go back to when music was played in the 80s, that'd be like saying, music from the 30s. That would be insane, right? So, but now what's ended up happening is music has gone from era and identity of that regard to mood. And mood being, and you see it with not just younger people, but people who are on Spotify, for example, they build playlists, and the playlists are built on mood. And it might be a country song, it might be a rock song, it might be hip hop, it could be, it all ties to a mood. And we have to, in our industry, start preparing for it. It's no longer about era and decade, it is about mood. And I think if we make that shift, there'll be more appeal to it. And people will say, when young people don't listen to radio, how many radio stations are targeting young people anymore?
Yeah.
Because then you go to the advertisers and you say, hey, we got all these young people, and they say, they don't have any money, I don't care. So, but where there are radio stations, which we do have, that target young people are there.
Yeah.
For example, a lot of young people love country music. Country is incredibly popular with people under the age, and with a lot of people, don't get me wrong, but under the age of 30, it's extremely popular. And would you ever say, well, they would refuse to listen to it on a radio station? No, they do. We know this. It's a fact. But these default settings that people have make it easy. And it's just, look at the product. A lot of the product today is trying to target people who have money. And there's good in that, and there's not so good in that. So do you end up abandoning a younger audience? You've got to make a commitment to that younger audience.
Yeah. And
guess what? Where you do, they're there.
Yeah.
So that's why the numbers are what the numbers are. Young people don't listen to radio. No, not a lot of young people radio stations.
Yeah.
Why would they? Somebody who's 22 years old, they're not listening to this show. They're not
listening to my show.
I'm sorry, but the data proves there could be some. Don't get me wrong, but at this point in their life,
I know one 20-year-old who is watching this live stream right now.
Perfectly
His
fine.
name is Stuart. It's my son.
That's perfect. We like it. It's not that, but again, it's not the mass. It's not where you're going to say the mass majority.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right, because the affinities seem to change with the daily weather among young people, especially the young people who are under 20 years old. And again, the options that they've grown up on are a lot different than what we had.
Absolutely.
I had a clock radio. It was set at 94.5 Cats FM.
Yeah.
And right now, finding a clock radio is a novelty. I know we have a lot of radios in the lobby, but they've got their smartphones.
Right.
Why is the radio on a smartphone? Why can't you get radio stations? I mean, we stream now everything. Why isn't there like a traditional radio with a dial?
Because it is a cell phone, which is radio waves. Every one of them is capable of doing radio. They just need one chip for it, and the phone manufacturers refuse to put it in.
Really?
True. There was a significant radio operator, I think it was Jeff Simulian, CEO, who was working diligently with the federal government and the cell phone companies about 20 years ago, just saying, turn this chip on.
Right.
It's just a chip already in the phone. Turn it on, and every single phone would become an FM translator radio, and they refuse to do it.
Can I modify mine to do it?
There used to be something to modify it. I don't know if it's still available. Because then it was, just go to the streams, But the problem is in an emergency, the streams aren't going to work.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just a fact.
Yeah, when the internet goes down, then
and that's one of the first things to go down.
Yeah,
it's not fortified like the other entities are.
Yeah,
so they go down quicker.
We're talking with Dave Doetsch. He is the president and general manager of Midwest Family Southwest Michigan and also for Midwest Family South Bend. And we're having what I think is an interesting discussion about everything under the sun, from Half Day, Illinois, which is where you grew up, which is the town no longer exists because of a water fight. And then now we're talking about radio and media transitions and that kind of thing. So if you have any questions, if you're listening on or watching on the video live stream on YouTube, Facebook, or X, you can ask a question, put it in the comments. We'll take a look at it and get to as many as we can. So we'll have the Bloomberg Business Financial Minute coming up in just a moment. Let me make sure it's there. Because this is behind the scenes, I can tell people what I'm doing, Dave.
All right, fair enough.
It is there. They recently changed satellite delivery. So we had to adjust for that, and we have adjusted. It's amazing how many different satellite receivers and computers we have behind you.
It's insane.
Yeah, we call it the core.
Core,
and it really is the core. The core can have a meltdown, so that's why air conditioning is on constantly in here.
Yes.
Let's see.
The machines don't like heat.
Okay, Bloomberg Financial Market Minute is in the queue, and then we'll have our news at the bottom of the hour. AI is a beast, and it seems some people are afraid of it, including people who made it. As we saw that open letter earlier this week from people who have worked with OpenAI and with Google's Gemini and others. They said it has the possibility to lead to human extinction, which seems like a bad thing.
Yeah, unless it's time.
Unless it's time.
Everything has its course.
Everything runs its course. But AI, I mean, it also has great applications. It can take the menial tasks and automate them and make them repeatable and infallible in some cases. How are you feeling about AI as far as it applies to media?
I feel good, but I also feel highly conscientious and responsible. I feel good because, as we're finding, and many people in the business world are finding, there are less skilled people in the workforce than there once was. And that makes sense. There were a lot of baby boomers. Those baby boomers are aging out, retiring, and the next wave of available employees is a smaller number, and they're not as skilled. It's just a fact. So because of that, now more work is being piled on the people who do have the skill. So how do we diversify that? AI is going to help that. AI will help take tasks that they did and make those turnkey, that they no longer have to do. They just have to have the oversight that they're done.
Right.
And then have to be, again, the conscientious source to go into that material and then make it have HI, a human imprint, and make it more palatable for the audience. So they're going to still have a role. It's just a tool that's going to help them. A plumber could go fix a toilet with, one wrench, but it'd be, a certain kind of wrench. And I don't know plumbing that well, but they'd probably like a plumbing wrench. And if they had a plumbing wrench, it'll be easier.
Hold that thought. Sorry, I had to cut you off midstream there.
It's all right.
We've got more coming up in just a few moments. The conversation we're having on the video live stream is a lot of fun. We're talking with Dave Doetsch, president and general manager of Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan, and for South Bend as well. And we're talking about social media. We're talking about media in general, and we're talking about artificial intelligence. So we will continue that conversation shortly. But finish your thought. You were saying about the artificial intelligence.
That it's a tool. And as the workforce size starts to shrink because of the aging out baby boomers, work needs to be done. AI will help get that work done, but we have to do it conscientiously. It needs to do the rudimentary level stuff that we add the HI to, the human imprint, the human intelligence, and then we take it to the marketplace.
I mean, it really feels like we're losing something, though. And it's been long in coming of moving from the industrial to the information age, and moving from a manufacturing economy to a service economy. Are we losing something there?
Well, there's always the law of sacrifice. I mean, something is going to be lost to take that step forward. And people want to believe that every step forward is the right step forward, but it's not. You can trip, you can fall. You have to be conscientious to that. That's the part I fear in our society today, is we're not willing to fail. We're willing to blame somebody for failure, but we're not willing to fail.
Yeah.
And we don't want to take ownership for it. And failure is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And with this, we have to be willing to fail, but correct. And are we willing to do that?
Yeah. I like hearing that failure is part of success. That's what you're saying, right?
Absolutely.
So
As
every
I'm
time
watching
I
you do the
fail,
board this morning.
every time I fail, getting the right timing on the board is success. We're talking with Dave Doetsch again. He's here from Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan, ultimate boss of me, and so it doesn't make me nervous at all that he's here watching over how I'm operating things. No, it's good. And we're going to continue the conversation about media and some other things. Also, you read a lot, so we'll talk about that. But we've got ABC National News and more local news coming up.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Ahead of D-Day ceremonies in Normandy, France today, President Biden sat down with ABC News World News anchor David Muir, who asked him about Ukrainians using American-made weapons on Russia. The president clarifying and insisting it will.
And a quick shout out to Johnny Reinhardt, who it must be listening to our morning show because he commented here. He said, let's see here if I can show his comment. I used to have a Nokia flip phone, and I was able to listen to the radio on that phone. It was awesome.
Yeah, because they are all radio waves.
So we know Johnny has his own show, but he's listening to this show.
He's another one kissing up to me today. I love it.
Is that what it is?
I think we had Paul do it earlier. Now Johnny. Loving the show, guys.
We'll be right back with local news.
Shelter in central Gaza. Israel says it was being used as a Hamas compound. This is ABC News.
WSJM News Now. Team coverage from the WSJM Newsroom on News Talk Sports 94.9 WSJM.
And taking a look at some of the local news stories from our WSJM Newsroom today. A Coloma woman is dead following a standoff with police on Wednesday morning. The Berrien County Sheriff's Department says an officer with the Coloma Township Police Department was called to a home in the 200 block of Pearl Street in the city of Coloma around 3:40 in the morning yesterday, when the woman called 911 to report someone was going to set her house on fire. After arriving, the Coloma Township Police approached and saw the woman pointing a long gun at the law enforcement officer. He took cover, called for backup. The woman told 911 her intent was to shoot police officers. The Berrien County Sheriff's Office Tactical Response Unit was then brought in and made contact with the woman, telling her to drop the rifle and come outside. The standoff continued for about a 90-minute period before police got a search warrant. As officers entered the home, the Sheriff's Department says they tried using less lethal rounds to get the woman into custody. However, one of those rounds injured the woman. She was later pronounced dead at the Corwell Health Hospital. Berrien County Sheriff's Department and the Coloma Township Police Department have asked Michigan State Police to investigate the incident overall, and the name of the woman has not yet been released. A vigil to end gun violence is planned for next Friday in downtown St. Joseph, organized by St. Paul's Episcopal Church. The vigil will call attention to the problem locally. St. Paul's Reverend Karen Joy Kelly, the priest of the church, tells us this is the fourth gun violence vigil the church has held since getting involved in the issue in cooperation with the group called Interfaith Action. We'll tell you more about where and when that vigil is coming up in our news at 8 o'clock. Also, the Van Buren County Road Commission is planning to share informational meetings telling voters about the road millage renewal that will appear on voter ballots in August. Van Buren County Road Commission Managing Director Brett Witkowski, who, by the way, is also one of our co-hosts on the WSJM Morning Show. He tells us the question will be on the August 6th primary ballot, and what's at stake is the renewal of a millage that's been in place since 1978. It raises about $2.8 million a year for the county's roads, and 42% of that is earmarked for townships to decide how to use it. Witkowski says the county's fortunate to have its own road millage, and we'll have more from him about that issue coming up at 8 o'clock as well. That's a look at some of the local news that we're following for you here from the WSJM Newsroom. We'll have the Michigan News Network, and following that, our local sports.
The Michigan News Network.
I'm Beth Fisher. Significant damage in Livonia the morning after an EF1 tornado touches down, causing power outages and uprooting trees. A 2-year-old boy was killed when a...
All right. Okay. Let's see. There's a follow-up from Johnny. Johnny says, and he's still listening to the show, which is the great thing. He says, no sucking up here. That was to you, Dave.
All right.
Just making sure Ken doesn't break anything.
That's fair.
That would be, well, it's fair, but that what do they say? The horse is already out of the stable on that one. I mean, I'm sure I've broken all kinds of fun things around here.
We'll be fine.
Not very
That's why
expensive.
we have Terry
Insurance.
Green. He's the master of repair.
You know, Johnny and I, we had the last morning show last week, and it was almost as if the universe was giving us a send-off because the power went out on us twice last week.
Yeah.
And one time when this power came back on, the computer in News A, one of our news studios, fried. The whole motherboard gone. So Terry Green, thank you.
We paid a price.
Yeah, we paid a price. So thank you, Terry, for replacing that computer. Andrew Green now has his computer back. I think he's got all his passwords transferred.
Good.
They're all password 1234. So it didn't take him long.
No.
You read a lot.
I do.
You devour books.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of books do you like to read?
My biggest preference is biographies. I love biographies. That's my go-to. A little bit of historical, like reading about music, like reading about art, socioeconomics, socio-political topics. Those are very interesting to me.
Okay.
So it's
a lot of nonfiction.
I rotate around. Then some that tie to business. Mostly nonfiction. I'm almost.
Okay.
I'd probably say 80% of what I read is nonfiction. I've got a couple of fiction books that I'm reading. So I've got this weirdness to me. It's not weird to me, but to other people where if you come and look at my book stack, they have bookmarks in them and they're all about halfway, 2/3, a third of the way, all of them.
Okay.
Not all of the ones I finished, obviously not, but I'll have 6, 8 books going at once. And sometimes I'll set a book aside for 2 years and pick it up and finish it.
Wow.
And I'll remember it. I'll remember where I left off within a page.
That is not weird. That is previous day channel flipping.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what that is. Because right now we have so much available to us through all the streaming channels.
Mm-hmm.
And some of it's delivered on an irregular cadence. You can't watch things all at once, or if you do, you're binge watching.
Right.
So you just watch it to a point, you pause it, and then maybe I feel like watching something totally different.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing with books.
Absolutely.
That's not weird. Just tell them that.
Right. Exactly. But for some people, what's amazing to me, I was watching a show last night. It's the 3rd season. I think it's the 4th season of Fargo, where Chris Rock is.
Don't spoil anything. No spoilers.
I'm watching it right now. I'm loving it. And the one Don says, "I'm bad at math." And one of his guys goes, "How come nobody ever says I'm bad at English?"
I'm bad at the English.
Right. And so, the math and then the other thing I find amazing for people is a number of people say to me they hate to read. I'm like, really? You hate to read?
People hate to read?
Yeah. I'll hear people say, I hate to read. And it's like, wow, that's pretty extreme. I mean, reading's pretty important to then decide you hate to read.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I live off reading. I have to. I wake up every morning and the first thing I do is make coffee. And the second thing I do is dive into something that I'm reading.
You're a morning reader?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll read blogs as well that are industry based.
That I can see.
I do that, but I'll spend 15 minutes just diving into a book just so my brain kind of activates in a different way.
I have a hard time creating time to read. When I sit down and read, I really enjoy it. But creating that time to read, because I do like you, I read a lot of news, a lot of blogs, different things just to keep up to speed on everything that's happening. And so carving out that time to just for myself and read, sometimes it gets pushed out of the way because I just have so many cool shows that I want to watch.
Yeah. Well, I just devote 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And
little blocks.
Then 15 to 20 minutes can lead to a half an hour.
Yeah.
The thing that I'll do to myself is like, I want to dive into that book, but I don't have enough time because it's a bigger book. And it's like, I'm just going to take it one piece at a time.
Yeah.
So that's where I just try to find little blocks of time and I'll read.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever read Tom Wolfe? Any Tom Wolfe, like Bonfire of the Vanities, A Man in Full?
I was trying to remember the titles. I have not.
A Man in Full was a book. It's yay thick.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading it when it was a new Tom Wolfe novel. And great book. It left an impression on me at the time. And that impression has remained with me. But the exact reason why had kind of been forgotten. And they recently turned that into a Netflix miniseries, a limited series. And so it was fun to watch because Jeff Daniels was in that.
Okay. Yes. I saw him promoting that.
And they took a lot of
very own.
They took a lot of liberties with the story, but it was still fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The final scene.
Yeah, watching a movie based on something you've read, it's a different experience.
Yeah. They never get it quite right.
No. Then you have to decide. You're
Whatever's
always
in your
deciding,
mind's
did
eye.
I like the book more than the movie more than the book?
Yeah.
They equate each other. So, yeah.
Yeah, ton of fun. Good. You mentioned 80% of your reading is nonfiction. The 20% that is fiction, what do you like to look at?
Science fiction.
Okay. Isaac
I'm reading,
Asimov.
I've read Isaac. I'm reading Exhalation right now, and I'm trying to remember the title, but an Ursula K. Le Guin book as well that was recommended to me. So,
do you ever find that a lot of the science fiction that you read a while ago is kind of what's coming true today?
A little bit.
Isn't it funny how science fiction has really driven a lot of the people like Elon Musk, for instance?
Absolutely.
To where we are.
That capacity of the brain that we don't engage very often. Science fiction allows us to take liberties that we wouldn't normally take because it isn't based in the now that we're trying to get so right or so accurate or not be scrutinized on. Whereas if you look to another time, another place, another era that's not in the now, you have more flexibility.
Yeah. We'll come back in just a few moments. We've got Tech Trends on the air right now on the terrestrial radio from ABC News. Come back and talk a little bit more about that. I want to hit on this science fiction piece. And Dave, one of the questions that I love asking at a dinner party or something along those lines is the most significant invention that has changed the course of humankind. Don't answer yet, but think about it. What is the most significant invention that has changed the course of mankind? And we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. It's here on the WSJM Morning Show. You look stumped.
I've got a number of ideas in my head.
I did it.
I've got a number of ideas in my head. What would I answer that?
All right. We'll be back in just a minute.
Now, for the Moody on the Market best places to work at moodyonthemarket.com. And congratulations.
From ABC News Tech Trends, another portable device has entered the gaming space.
The initial, why do I care about this? Why should somebody buy this? Is that, you are able to play, AAA games like Baldur's Gate 3 on PC from the comfort of your hands on the go.
IGN's Taylor Lyles says the Ally X is a new handheld from ROG, the gaming division of ASUS.
They're kind of marketing this as more of the more powerful alternative or the more powerful handheld gaming PC that you can currently get on the market in terms of the processing power.
She also says the company made improvements to battery life over the old model.
Its battery performance left a lot to be desired, but that's also a consistent trend that I'm seeing with a lot of these gaming handhelds.
But Lyle says the Ally X could face an uphill battle when it comes to software.
They are using Windows, and in my opinion, I don't think Windows is right now optimized for a handheld experience. But again, that doesn't necessarily fall on those devices. That's a Microsoft thing.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
From grown-worthy dad jokes to patching up skinned knees, your dad is one of a kind. Here's a Father's Day gift guaranteed to take him to his happy place, Omaha Steaks. Order mouth-watering gift packages starting at just $89 at omahasteaks.com with promo code QUALITY at checkout. Show your dad the love he deserves with an unconditional money-back guaranteed gift as unforgettable as he is. Visit omahasteaks.com, code QUALITY at checkout.
Omaha Steaks, America's original butcher.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Becoming mostly sunny today, breezy and cooler. High temperatures inland in the mid-70s. At the beaches, will stay in the upper 60s near 70 degrees. Strong winds out of the west and northwest today and tonight will create some big waves at the lakeshore. We'll drop down to 55 tonight. And then for Friday, partly sunny, cool, slight chance of a shower. High temperatures near 70. I'm WSBT 22 meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
And it is, 16 minutes before 8 o'clock. You're listening to the WSJM Morning Show. My guest this morning is Dave Doetsch. He's the president and general manager of Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan. That's my boss. You own everything here.
I'm not 100% owner, but I'm 100% responsible.
You have a lot of it. You own some of it. You are responsible for most of it. And a lot of the things in here we have are technology driven, and those were driven by innovations. And the question I asked you on the video live stream just a minute ago was, think about, and maybe if you have an idea, what do you think the most what changed the course of history for mankind? What invention, what innovation changed the course of human history? Did you come up with something?
Well, does it have to be technology or any invention?
It doesn't have to be technology. It can be anything, and there's no right answer, right or wrong answer.
Well,
I mean, there's a right answer, the one I have, but that's just my opinion.
A couple come to mind.
Okay.
One is the understanding that when doctors have to work with patients, they have to be in a sterile environment because the amount of people they used to kill in the process of trying to help them. So that changed life expectancy. That changed the ability to heal. So you go back to that era where I was just reading about this, where a doctor was given credit for their speed of surgery because of the amount of pain somebody had to take and endure. Now, when they learned how to give some form of medication to knock you out, ease the pain, is one side of it. Another one is the toothbrush. How many, I mean, seriously, it doesn't get enough credit because of how much health. I mean, I remember growing up, family talking about how horrible it was to go to the dentist, and family members that would have not great shaped teeth because the pain and suffering that going to the dentist, it was better to let your teeth rot than it was to go to the dentist.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously. And now, that changed, right? So the advent of Novocaine and the toothbrush and taking care of, and the health that goes with it. And I don't think that gets enough credit. I really don't, on the health side, our ability, because that's extended our lives. It's made us much healther.
Wow.
So those
you
are the
took
ones
that
that
in an
came.
entirely unexpected direction.
That's what I thought you'd say. I really did. That's what I was thinking about. You're like, oh, I stumped him. Like, I don't know if he's going to like my answer.
No, I like your answer. I think that's great because you're right. If people didn't take care of their teeth, they'd get abscesses, they get infections, they may get, start getting some mental issues, or just die.
Yeah, absolutely. So
life
those
expectancy.
Simple,
but that's life expectancy. So did that really change the course of mankind?
Well, if mankind can live longer and they take those skills and apply those skills, life expectancy will change that. Will change the ability to keep contributing to society.
Okay.
Because I believe in more minds trying to handle a problem that are aligned. It's not that they're all yes people, but they're aligned in the mission. The better the outcomes. I have to make a lot of decisions independently, but I certainly want to get input from others.
Sure.
And I want them to be on that same wavelength. And I look for wisdom. I look for a younger person's perspective. Again, when we look at our society today, because of technology, there's this default mechanism that young people know everything. But where are the wizards? Where are the wiseards? Where are the people of wisdom? We've kind of let go of that in our society. We have people who are older are, they're done in the workforce and they need to be put in a home, or, they don't understand the world today. And it's a balance. Our societies have to be a balance, and healthy, engaged people of wisdom and willing to share that in a healthy manner will help a society be stronger as they teach younger people certain things that they just don't know at that point. They have more vigor. They're willing to take more risks.
Sure.
But they don't have all the answers. And just because technology makes it appear that they do,
right,
that's not necessarily, they just don't have the experience.
That does seem to be one of the dangers of AI, is that false confidence that you have the knowledge.
Right. And go ahead.
No, just go ahead.
One of the things that comes with AI that we have to be I went to a seminar about this a few months ago, and it was just so poignant. AI is going to give you an answer. It doesn't, if you and I respond to a question, we're going to give multiple answers. AI is going to give you an answer, and it's going to miss nuance. It's not going to have nuance, and what AI is missing today is experience. It's got a lot of knowledge, but it's still missing experience. It needs the human input to give the experience and the experiential factor. So that there's a huge value in that. And the AI doesn't have that capacity, not at this point, and likely never. So if you're a business and you're like, you can solve this problem, answer it, your biggest competitor can go in and give it the same answer. You're going to both solve it the same exact way. Maybe that makes sense, but sometimes that doesn't make sense. And you're going to have that human involvement to differentiate.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. And one of the things, it seems like it's a math equation that it solves, AI, and it draws on past knowledge created by humans, put on the internet that it scraped and brought forward. And if we're not creating that new knowledge, I think that's where the big danger lies, is that we're reliant too much on what we knew then. Because one of the answers, and people who have had experience with me in this area, is if I ask a question and the answer is, well, because that's the way we've always done it, that's not the right answer.
Right.
That's not the right answer. We need to be building new bridges of knowledge. But more on that later. We're getting real deep here. It's time for another sip of coffee. We'll have the Moody on the Market update coming up next.
We're watching over you. IMS Insurance Management Service.
IMS understands that when you run a business, having someone you can lean on means something.
I just had
I
had a friend of mine
message
me and say, "Oh, you own everything?" Because you said that. No, I
was
do
this
not.
the other owner? Probably.
Let me show you the receipt, pal.
That's funny. Well, it's good. You know? Anyway, no, it's a good conversation. Thank you for spending time with us this morning. We appreciate it.
It's a lot of fun.
Letting us, and none of these questions, I will tell you, even though he has the power to send me packing, none of these questions were previewed with Dave. We talked for a few minutes and said, hey, what do you want to talk about? And I said, well, why don't we talk about media? And that's where this whole thing has gone. So we've talked about books. We've talked about science fiction. Talked about how you what do you watch on Netflix? Do you watch any?
I don't have Netflix.
You don't have Netflix?
I don't have Netflix.
Shoot.
I have Amazon.
Whose account
Prime.
do you use?
Well, that's what got shifted, right? When they went to you can't borrow codes.
Yeah.
I was out. So 'cause I borrow codes and
oh dear, don't do that.
Oh, it's all right.
Right.
They're doing just fine. These billion upon billion dollar companies, and now they're crying foul and they're raising rates every month. It's insanity. Yeah. So, but I actually watch a lot of Tubi.
Oh yeah, that's fun stuff.
Yeah, there's
I
a
like
lot
what's
on
on
Tubi, and it's got commercials. Oh, those horrible commercials that have driven my career. So I have no problem with that. And it has the entire classic Doctor Who, so I can watch it at any time. So I'm fine.
That is a super fun series. I love Doctor Who.
I love Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I've loved it since I was 9 years old. Begrudgingly got into it when my brother punched me to force me to watch it. And then after that, I got hooked. And he always said, "You're only a Doctor Who fan because of me." Well, maybe the show was good. But
yeah,
big Doctor Who nerd.
You mentioned NVIDIA. They have surpassed Apple as far as what their value is in the marketplace. They closed on the market yesterday, reaching a record high of their shares, $1,224.40 per share.
Those poor folks.
For a
Life's so hard for them.
market cap of just above $3 trillion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so sad for them.
Yeah, NVIDIA. We'll be right back and talk about more business things, but on a more local level with our Moody on the Market update.
Now, well, he's always telling me to stop screwing around and get back to work. Yeah, me too.
The selection of perennials to choose from will never be better than it is today. So get to Barbet Farms and Greenhouse on Cleveland Avenue, 1 mile south of Lakeshore High School.
Barbets, targets, Barbet.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
And it's time for your Moody on the Market update. The Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And talking today about Vilwalks Outdoor Living, they have announced the opening of Dorothy and Al's Farm Market. There's something to be said about having both a vision for a project as well as the passion and the ability to see it come to life. That's exactly what Michael Vilwalk has been able to accomplish with his growing business, Vilwalks Outdoor Living, and now Dorothy and Al's Farm Market. Having expanded first at the M139 location in Berrien Springs last year, with the addition of a new 24,000 square foot greenhouse, you've seen it. 2024 saw Michael and his family also announce the opening of a new Sawyer location for Vilwalks Outdoor Living, and simultaneously the opening of Dorothy and Al's Farm Market. They say Dorothy and Al are my grandparents. the ones who introduced me to the world of agriculture and horticulture and helped me fall in love with it, says Vilwalk. Being able to open a farm market in their honor and continue to provide opportunities for people to connect with their roots means the world to me, my family, and our team. Now, Dorothy and Al's Farm Market will have a true farm market feel to it, with multiple regional vendors' products showcased inside, including many from Southwest Michigan. They say they're continuing to build on making their space a destination for folks to visit and provide them with access to other businesses that may otherwise be never discovered. So that's a nice farmer's market. You like going to the farmer's market, Dave?
I have not gone very often. Being
to any farm market? Do you cook? What are you doing?
Yeah, but I don't. I got a certain diet, so I don't do it. It's that they're fine, they're great, but that's just not my thing.
All right, we'll have to talk
Once
about
in a blue moon, but yeah.
That is your Moody on the Market update for this hour. We'll have another one next hour, but the Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. You can call IMS today, your local auto owners insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. More conversation with Dave Doetsch. He's the president and general manager of Midwest Family, Southwest Michigan, and for South Bend, right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
Hi, I'm Jenny, the manager over at your Big Deals online store. Did you know that when you shop locally, 83 cents of that dollar stays in town? Local businesses are the lifeblood of our community, and that's why you should shop your Big Deals online store. Dozens of gift certificates to local businesses, all in one convenient place. Shop local from the convenience of your home or smartphone.
Don't wait. Go to BigDealSouthwestMichigan.com today.
Hey, Michigan, let's go big. I'm Herman Moore, Lions All-Pro wide receiver, and I'm talking real big-time winning on the hottest slots and table games on one incredible app, Eagle Casino and Sports.
Sign up now and get up to $1,500. That's right. We'll match your deposit for up to $1,500, and you'll get 100 free spins.
Eagle Casino and Sports. Made in Michigan, made for Michigan.
Must be 21 or older and in Michigan to play.
Something amazing is happening when power outages strike. Teams are powering through them. That's because CDW Solutions architects are building more resilient IT and electrical infrastructures with Schneider Electric. With EcoCare remote monitoring services and 24/7 support, your organization can do more than keep the lights on. Schneider Electric and CDW make amazing happen. Learn more at cdw.com/Schneider Electric.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Looking for a little more comfort in your life? Put your mind at ease with McGee's Heating and Air Conditioning, your Carrier dealer. McGee's is the authority at getting peak performance from your heating and cooling system. You may even save some money on your energy bill. So call McGee's, your Carrier dealer first. Schedule your air conditioner tune-up before high temperatures hit and your AC quits. Carrier, turn to the experts at McGee'sHeating.com, serving Southwest Michigan along the lakeshore.
McGee's Heating and Air. Feel at ease with McGee's. Big deals.
Hi, Jenny here from your local Big Deal store. Have you checked this place out yet? We've got gift certificates from dozens of local businesses, all sale priced. I'm talking restaurants, entertainment, car care, and items for your home. And you can shop 24 hours a day.
Sorry, I'm doing math there, but we'll close out the show in just a minute. Let's get into ABC News here, and then we'll be right back, Dave.
All right.
Today.
The Morning Show with Ken and Friends on 94.9 WSJM.
And we're just about coming up to the top of the hour, which is 8 o'clock, and we'll join ABC News in just a moment. But we'll end the live stream here in a few minutes. Just a reminder, if you're ever interested in seeing the behind the scenes and hearing the behind the scenes chit chat of our video live stream, you can tune in at Facebook, YouTube, and X. Look for WSJM. We have the video live stream every weekday morning from 7 to 8. And if you happen to miss an episode, we have A few hundred of our best friends tune in later on and they watch the replay, which is kind of fun. So we encourage you to do that. We get a lot of exclusive content there, and you can always weigh in with your comments and ask different things or maybe give us some information as well. We'll have local news. The forecast for today looks like it's going to be another nice one. It's going to be a little bit cooler. So if this warm weather and the humidity was getting to you, well, it looks like it's about to pass. So we'll have the full weather forecast coming up from our friends at WSBT. It is the WSJM Morning Show. All right. Well, thanks to those of you who have been sticking around on the video live stream. We appreciate you today. Hope you found today's conversation enjoyable, engaging. Dave, did you enjoy it?
I did.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much.
And Paul Landecker, who is the vice president of content around here, he said that you should be a regular guest. So,
all right, we're gonna have to talk about pay. What's Paul going to pay me? Oh, wait, he's got to come to me to ask me that.
That's going to be a great question. So
I have to bring a mirror into my office.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Well, we'll look forward to the update on that conversation. No, you're welcome back anytime. We'll ask you to hang around for just a little bit longer if that's all right.
Absolutely.
And we'll continue the conversation. So thanks for joining us on the video live stream. We'll do it again tomorrow. See ya.